What's up, everybody? Chris Bello here with the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. Welcome to the show. In this episode, I just jotted a couple of bullet points down. Honestly, I'm a little behind on content, so I'm just like throwing some stuff together for my team to edit. But bear with me. I've gotten a lot better since episode 1, and I'm pretty good at riffing from my brain. Is that the right saying? But today's episode, I just kind of jotted a couple bullet points down, but it's called Trust But Verify. We have to be able to trust people that are on our team, that we're working with, that we delegate stuff to or assign responsibilities to. Because if you never trust people, you're never going to let go of these things. You're going to hoard it to yourself. You're going to think that if it's going to be done right, I have to do it. And that's definitely not the case. A lot of people have these trust issues and perfectionism, right? Perfectionism kills dreams. A guest that I interviewed said that on one of his emails to me, I think, or maybe in my podcast, but perfection kills dreams, something like that. If you're waiting to get something perfect and do it 100% accurately, that's like analysis paralysis, right? You're never going to make a decision. You're never going to take action, and you're going to get beaten out by the people who just tried and failed and learned and implemented and iterated, while you're sitting there trying to get that perfect first version, which it's not going to happen, right? There's going to be a degree of imperfectionism, and you got to just deal with that, right? It's like a little rounding error. It's something that we all have to work with. And as you do more and more, you create more content, you do more of that thing that you're doing, you make more sales, you're going to continue to improve, right? You're going to have less of an error. Your percentage, your close rates are going to go up, your conversion rates are going to go up, your ratings are going to go up, ideally if you're learning from your failures. But the reason I think it's super important to trust but verify is that, yes, you do want to verify that when you give somebody a task, they're doing it accurately, they're not messing it up, they're not causing errors down in your process or the supply chain of your business by ignoring something. But if there are holes in your business, maybe you just need to update your processes and your systems. Like your checklists may not be all dialed in. That person may not even know, like, what does a successful day look like for me, right? If you haven't defined that for that person, then it's not really their fault if they make a mistake, because there's nothing to judge them against. But whenever you assign tasks and responsibilities, there's got to be a degree of trust there. Of course, you want to go in there, maybe spot check. I do this sometimes with my podcast when I had someone editing the show. When I had the interviews, like I would edit it and occasionally I would release it without checking it. And then I'd find out that there was some glitch, and like halfway through the audio goes to like 10% volume and you can barely hear, even if you turn the volume all the way up. And by then I'm like, dang, a couple people probably already listened to this and maybe dropped off. If that was the first episode they ever listened to, they might not ever come back or give me a chance, right? I want to make sure that quality is good, because if the audio and the video is good and the content's good, then we're golden. If the content's great and the audio and video suck, then we're kind of screwed, because we're going to lose someone because they can't hear us, even if they wanted to. And so I occasionally would do spot checks, like going forward in the process after I discovered that issue. Before I published the episode, I would open up the file, click through, maybe it was a 20 or 30 minute episode. I'd click through 5 different spots to make sure the volume levels were equal throughout. And if they were, cool, we're golden. Set that thing to active or schedule it to publish tomorrow or whenever, and we're good to go. If there's an issue, I could quickly shoot him a text or email or Slack message and say, hey, volume drops off again at 15 minutes. Like, what's going on? Can you check it again? Uploads a new file within 30, 40 minutes, and boom, we're good, right? So that's an example of trusting but verifying, because I had trusted too blindly before when I was uploading without checking it. And then I'd be listening to my podcast when it went live the next day, because usually there's a little bit of a gap between the interview and the actual published date, maybe 2-3 weeks. And I want to make sure I get all the nuggets that I had in the conversation with the guest. And I'd find something like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this fixed ASAP. This is not good. And so I built that into the process to do a quick spot check. And so whenever you have issues trusting people or delegating or letting go, you hoard tasks. And when you hoard tasks, you're the bottleneck. You keep things stuck because you can only do so many things in a day, right? We all have done this. I used to do this. I'm like, no, I'll do it. I'll get around to it. I'll mark the email as unread or star it or whatever. However you flag the email saying that it's important, I'd be guilty of doing that. And then it sits in my inbox for a week and my VA's following up. Hey, Chris, what about this thing? Did you do that thing yet? And I'm like, no, I'm going to get it done. It's on my list, but I haven't done it. Versus just handing it off entirely to one of my VAs, my main one. Like, she does an amazing job. She gets stuff done in like a day tops. maybe 2 days. And I don't have strict deadlines. I'm super flexible and chill about it. But the beauty is now that I delegate it and assign it to her, she'll let me know when something's done and I review it and approve it. And if I don't approve it, like if I find something that I feel like, hey, this thing could be a little bit better, or I don't really like how that is, with any task at all, from designing a t-shirt to order me that says Chris Bello Real Estate, to finding someone to edit thumbnails or create thumbnails for my YouTube videos, like I delegate everything to her and she goes and does those things. And I trust her, but I verify, and she knows the system, the way we operate. Like she'll let me know when she finishes something or has a first draft of something, and she'll send it for my review. So for example, with the t-shirts, she had like 5 or 6 different t-shirt designs. I looked them up. 2 of them I wasn't a huge fan of, like 2 of them I was. And I told her, hey, let's go ahead and order these ones because I like this design. This fits what I want to wear and kind of display on podcasts. It says Chris Bello Real Estate, has a little house on it. Let's go ahead and get that done. And they should be here in about a week. She's just going to add it to the invoice of what I pay her every single month. So that's pretty cool. But I want to make sure that you let go. When you learn to let go of things, whether it's mentally, you know, like in terms of meditation and stuff, like let go of the things that you can't control, but in terms of the tasks and the productivity and the daily stuff you work on, that's kind of what I'm talking about here, of like let go of those tasks, trust, but verify, have a tool like Asana to put all those things down, assign it to somebody, put a due date. Now there's accountability. It's out there. It's not just some idea that you talked about on a Zoom call that could easily be forgotten or is written down on a sticky note and put away. It's there for everyone to see, and you can hold people accountable. Like, hey, today's the due date. You haven't uploaded that thumbnail. What's going on? When are you going to get it? And then I can have a VA comment and say, sorry, sir, you know, it's going to be there by, you know, in 1 hour, I'll have it uploaded. My internet was out. Like I have this issue come up sometimes, but then it gets done. I can quickly check in. And so amazing things can happen, and you can buy yourself time back. Your schedule opens up. You can spend your time on higher level activities or other things as you please. And so that's kind of the message for today. Quick, short episode. Trust but verify, learn to let go. And I just think of, I never saw that Frozen movie, but I remember a friend was having trouble delegating and letting go of things. And he said it. He's like, man, I just have such a hard time letting things go. And I sent him a little GIF or whatever from Frozen of them singing that song, Let It Go. Because I'm like, dude, as soon as you learn to let it go and you develop that delegation muscle, it becomes a no-brainer. You get rid of almost everything, which again, that's kind of like my only problem. I don't know if I mentioned that on this episode or the one that I just recorded before this, but sometimes I delegate too much where I barely do anything because I'm like literally delegating it all off my plate. It's a cool place to be, but when you do that and you start to delegate, you can sleep better at night knowing that you're not just blindly delegating, you are letting go and trusting in the process, trusting in your team, but you're going to also do some spot checks and verify along the way. Pull up random files, whether they're MP3 files that they're editing for your podcast or email templates that they're sending out. Do a couple spot checks, and you can provide feedback like, hey, you sent this email, you know, this kind of sounded a little rude or a little short. In the future, can you update the template to say this? Cool. You know, one person got that email that sounded a little too cold maybe, but when you fix the process, it fixes it going forward. And so everything's not going to be perfect. There's got to be a little degree of chaos in there if you want things to go successfully. Otherwise, you're never going to leave that starting line, right? You're going to be stuck there waiting for the perfect moment. Perfect moment never comes. It never happens. You've got to get started, and you're going to learn, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes. Your team's going to make mistakes, and that's okay as long as you are learning from them, because the faster you fail, the faster you learn. If you're not failing, honestly, I heard this somewhere else too. Like in all of our ideas and these podcasts, they all kind of get recycled from different gurus and courses and videos and memes on Instagram and social media. But it's so true that you only fail if you quit. If you're continuing to learn, great. And also another thing in terms of failure, like making mistakes, the faster you fail, the faster you learn. And if you're not failing, like if you're not struggling and falling short of your goals, you're not dreaming and playing at a big enough level. If you're hitting all your goals, chances are you're probably not pushing yourself enough, right? And it sucks to lose. I totally get it. I want to win all the time. I want to hit all my goals. But if I keep setting small goals like, oh, make 50,000 in real estate, like that's another quote. If you aim low, like you'll hit it. If you set the bar too low, you'll hit it or something like that. You don't want to set the bar too low. But alternatively, maybe you don't want to set it extremely ridiculously high. There's like a fine line. There's some debate around there. I'm all for 10x like Grant Cardone talks about, but if you've never made more than 50 grand a year and you're trying to make 10 million next year, like that may be a daunting, difficult task. And chances are it's going to take a little bit longer than that, right? It just might not happen in a year. It could. I'm not saying it's not possible. Anything's possible. Just statistically speaking, you may be setting yourself up for disappointment and failure if you're trying to just shoot too fast, too quickly. So even for myself with real estate, just quick example, I think last year I was all gung-ho and I was like, I'm gonna close 35 deals in a year in 2020. I think I closed like 22 or something. I can't remember the exact number. I have it saved in a spreadsheet somewhere. And so according to my goals, I failed, but it was still a 6-figure year. So I was successful in a way, but I felt like a failure because I didn't hit the goals that I set. And so for 2021, I actually dialed that goal back. I was like, dude, I don't want to close 35 deals. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of headaches that go into transactions. I want to close less deals at a higher price point so I can still earn the income that I want without having to do all the grind and hustle of all these multiple transactions. So just be super cognizant of like what your goals are, be very clear, have clarity. And I know I'm kind of diverting into another potential podcast topic. So bringing it back, trust but verify. I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope you got some value out of this episode. If you got any problems delegating or getting rid of stuff, just practice. Get rid of some of the small stuff, the low risk stuff where if there's mistakes here and there, your business isn't going to fall apart, right? And as you get used to that and more comfortable and you develop that trust with that person, you can start to let go of more, give them more responsibility, and do check-in calls and see if they have any questions and get ahead of problems before they happen. But with that being said, I'll catch you on the next episode. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover. Hope you found this valuable once again. I think that you did. And I'll try to stay, I'm trying to come from the heart because I had a 2-star review when I first started saying, hey, I think what you're doing is great, bro, but it sounds like you're reading from a script. And to be honest, I would type out like a blog post and I'd pretty much read that sucker word for word. And now I just did a podcast and I have a timer just to make sure I'm doing enough content. I think it's like 12 minutes. I just turned it off, but about 12 minutes of content here with 6 little bullet points. And if you're looking on YouTube, heck, I'll even show it to you. I'll share my screen here for a second. That's it. I just did this whole episode with just these lines of text. The last one says amazing things happen. This keeps them stuck as the bottleneck. It's kind of funny. Get a drink of water here in a second. But I'm impressed with my ability to come up with content relatively quickly. Whereas before I'd have to have whole pages typed out and notes and all kinds of stuff in order to create this length and this quality of content. I'm hoping that the level is continuing to rise. And again, this is a perfect example. As you do it more, you'll get better. Your mistake ratio will decline and you'll start to see more success. So I'll catch you all on the next episode. I'm going to end it here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.